Hello, I'm Jamie Dickey. This is Nicole Schmidt. We're going to be showing you guys how to reload the 1 3/4 crosslay that we have on engine 101. This is a split Minuteman. It's 200 feet. There's 4 sections of 50-foot 1 3/4 sections. And to start, we're going to bring a female end over. We're going to load 2 sections on one side and 2 sections on the other, starting with our initial female that connects to the engine. You want to bring it over here and you want to have it on the left side because it's a right-handed pull. You're going to put that shoulder load on your right side with the nozzle. You want this hose over here and hanging out about roughly 2 feet so that it can flip up and connect to the truck once we put the whole load through. So we'll go ahead and start loading this. And then over here on Nikki's side, this first load is going to get your drag loop. And we do that loop on the 3rd bite. So she'll do 1 bite there, do a 2nd bite. And then you'll see on this 3rd one, she's going to bring it out about foot and a half or so. Make that extra long bite, and that's the only place we do the loop is on the 3rd bite. And then you just keep going back and forth until you get 2 sections loaded up. And now we have a male here. We'll get our other female section. Generally when you're loading this, you want 2 males and 2 females by the bed that you can start with. Because as you saw, we started with the female, we got another female here, and then when we start with the nozzle, we'll start with both the males. And we'll just keep doing the same thing all the way back up. And now she's back to the shorter bites after that long drag loop. As you're going, make sure you're kind of hitting it up against the side. Try to keep it nice and clean and orderly. And then as we get to the end here, we'll just leave that male off to the side. We'll get our nozzle, get our first male end here. Make sure that's snug. We'll hand that to Nikki. It goes bail down and then kind of pull back up to where the wide part of the bail is right at the edge here. As you can see right there where it catches. And we'll start doing the same thing, doing bites. And after we do our first bite over here is when we wrap that pistol grip. So if you want to come in here, we wrap it, try to get it nice and tight and get it to lay flat. And then when we wrap this nozzle, before we start doing bites out to here, we do 2 bites right behind the pistol grip. That way sometimes there's a bit of a void space there, and those 2 bites will help kind of utilize some of that extra space. Pull tight on that top one. You always want to communicate with your partner if you have slack or something that needs to be fixed. Bite. And then after she does those first 2 bites behind the pistol grip, she'll start taking her bites out to the end of the nozzle and make it flush with that adjustable tip. And that makes it a little easier to pull out that shoulder load from the truck because it's kind of recessed back into the cab a bit. And now that we're in, we have our 2nd male, 4th and final section. Connect that up and then just keep going. And as this 4th section finishes, we'll come back over and it'll connect to the other two sections. And you kind of get that to lay nice and flat and pretty. Grab your end, you fold that up, and then take generally 4 people, pick up each corner. We'll slide it through the truck about 75% of the way. That way that person on the other end can connect this. And that's how you load the crosslay. Hello, Jamie Dickey here again. This is Nicole Schmidt, and we got Captain Frank Ermentrout on the other side. They'll be holding bites. We're showing you how to load our 150-foot crosslays on engine 102. All 5 of these hoses are all loaded with the same type of load. This one we're showing you here is the 2.5-inch hose, obviously. That's 3 50-foot sections. And there has been a little bit of a change, so just pay attention to what we start with and where we're doing our bites. But let's go ahead and get started. If you want to hand that up to me. We're going to start with the female end connected to the discharge. In the past we've hung the male, but we're doing it like this. And we'll take bites, zigzag it back and forth like a traditional Minuteman. You want to try as best you can to keep these hose loads up against one side or the other. They'll come out a lot cleaner when they don't have to bump on each side. And with this first 50-foot section, once it's all a Minutemanned out here, we're going to take this male end and we're going to hang it over the other side, whatever's left over on that last bite. And then our next section, we're going to start with the nozzle attached to 2 more 50-foot sections, and we're going to Minuteman that back up and connect that male at the end to the end of those 2 sections. And so get the nozzle in here, and just like on engine 102, you pull it back so the bail is kind of right up against it. These other ones, it doesn't slide through. This 2.5 one's big enough to where you just want to keep it at the end there so the bail's just poking out. You come down, and just like the other ones, we're going to wrap the nozzle, wrap the pistol grip of the nozzle. And so Nicole kind of has to hold it up there because it'll fall without it before you wrap it. And then once you get that first wrap, it'll kind of hold it in place. And as we do more bites on top of it, the weight of it'll hold the hose. Again, we're doing 2 bites behind the pistol grip. So try to utilize a bit of that void space. And that's your second bite there. The next one most likely go over without hitting you. So then after those 2 bites, we're going to go out to the end of the nozzle just like engine 101. You'll kind of notice it's a little more important with this engine to do short and long bites to kind of stagger where that hose bends, because it'll be a little thicker there. Kind of does a bit of a U shape. So if you stagger those, it'll lay a little flatter. And with this cover on top, the flatter it lays, the easier it's going to pull out, because these can get a little snug sometimes. That's why it's important to load them properly. Alright, so now we're down to that female at the end. Captain Ermentrout will lift up the male. Get that nice and snug, and then kind of just back and forth, make it look pretty. Get it to sit as flat as you can. And that's how you load our engine 102 crosslay.